All right, so welcome to my channel. This is my third day post-op bariatric surgery. I'm going to give you a little background of who I am and kind of how I ended up here, and then I'm going to let you know what I went through to get to jump through all the hoops to get my bariatric surgery, and what kind I got and how things are going. So I rocked the scales at about 420 when I first started this. And I started off, several years ago. I was doing keto, the ketogenic diet, and I lost 100 pounds in 6 months. I did really well on it. I've always done well with the keto diet. The problem isn't getting it off, the problem is keeping it off. I just, I broke down into the 200 pounds. I was 400 when I started keto. I was like 298 when I stopped, only because I didn't have the willpower to keep going. And then over several years, I just gained it all back plus some. So now I'm doing, I find myself where I'm struggling to walk. I've got bad knees. I've got arthritis in my left knee, really bad from a hockey injury where I tore my meniscus and my ACL and had to have that replaced. So getting around was getting pretty hard for me. And I've looked into getting bariatric before, and I just decided, this is the time. And so, I decided to go ahead and go through with it. I went in for surgery. It was, just 3 days ago. It was April 16th, so the day after tax day is when I went in. The day of wasn't any big deal, but before I talk about the surgery and what I did and everything else, let's go back to what I had to jump through to even get approval for the surgery. I had to first go see my primary care physician, have him run an EKG, and sign off. Sorry guys if I'm making this weird face. It's because you do a lot of burping when you get after your surgery, so I do apologize for that. I had to go to see my primary care physician and have him run an EKG and get approval. From there, I had to get a psych evaluation, which was really kind of ridiculous. Basically, they emailed me a questionnaire of like 250, 300 questions I had to answer. And after that, they talked to me on the phone for about 10 minutes and then gave me the approval. It was just ridiculous. After that, I went and got a sleep study done, which I've been on a CPAP machine for probably 20 years now, so it was no big surprise. Because my sleep apnea was so severe, they decided to send me off to a cardiologist. And that cardiologist had me do a couple ultrasounds, one on my heart, one on the veins of my leg. Also had me do a stress test, which if you've never had one done before, it's kind of surprising, especially since I couldn't walk on a treadmill to get my heart rate up. They injected me with this drug that basically did it for me, and it was unexpected, right? I was just laying there calm, everything's cool, and the next thing you know, I could barely breathe. It was like I was out of breath, like I just ran a mile or something. So that was definitely different. Sorry, I had to go back to the cardiologist to get approval for my surgery, and trying to think if there's anything else I had to go through. I had to get a colonoscopy and an upper GI, which was not fun. If you ever had an upper GI or colonoscopy, you know that they got to clear out your bowels to see what's going on in there. And they prescribed me like a bunch of Dalcolax pills in the morning, and then later on in the afternoon I had to drink 2 liters of Gatorade with Miralax mixed into it, which if you've never taken Miralax before, it makes whatever you're drinking creamy. Have you ever had creamy Gatorade before? Yeah, it's not fun. It sucked, to say the least. But I managed to get through it. I got it done, and now you fast forward. I've been approved for everything, and I ran through this really quick. It was the middle of February when I started. When I went to first go see my surgeon, and then after that it was 2 months later, I'm getting a surgery. Part of that is because I am a small business owner and I can make my own schedule, and I was able to just slam all the doctor's appointments really quick and get them done, whereas a lot of people have to work around their work schedule and it takes more time. Plus they wanted me to lose weight, which is never a big deal for me because I just go on keto and the weight just comes off me. So I lost the weight that they asked for, and everything was good. So about 2 weeks ago, I go see the surgeon, and I'm approved. They got me scheduled. I'm good to go. Put me on the pre-op diet. Now, the pre-op diet is basically, for me anyways, it was 3 protein drinks, and you can pick whatever you want. I was to save money, I was mixing my own. I like a company called BSN. It's a good tasting protein drink. It doesn't taste crappy. After I was done with the protein drink, I was allowed like 1 lean cuisine meal a day. So I would drink the protein shakes in the morning, and then for lunch, and then I'd have my lean cuisine for dinner, and then at the end of the evening before I went to bed, I'd have another protein drink. Now, I was also allowed to drink, to sip on like bone broth or soup broth, chicken broth, whatever, and then I could have coffee without any kind of creamer or stuff like that. So, or sugar, and so I was drinking black coffee as well. and I lost more weight, and I will show my weight progression on the screen here shortly. But you'll see I started off when I first got my scale, I was overweighing the scale. The scale only had a 400-pound weight capacity. So the first time I jumped on a scale, it was 399. So the first time I jumped on a scale, it was 399, and as of this morning, I'm at 373. So, I've lost the 26 pounds, plus I was 13 pounds over. I was at 413 when I walked into the surgeon for the very first time. So I've lost about, what is that, like, let's see here, 20, 26, and 13. So I lost about 40 pounds in total so far. And that was only with a couple days after the surgery. Now, fast forward, it's surgery day. I show up at the hospital at 5:30 in the morning. I take my vitals, shave my belly, make me use the restroom, and it was my surgery was actually scheduled for back to the day of surgery. Showed up there at 5:30 in the morning with my wife. They got me back, injected me with a bunch of different drugs and blood thinners and all this other stuff, so that it would help with the surgery, and then a lot of antibacterial type stuff. That basically I had to wash myself down with these pads that had like an antiseptic built into them. They put stuff up my nose. They made me brush my teeth and with an antiseptic, and then rinse with an antiseptic. So it was all very very sterile, let's say. And then the doctor and the anesthesiologist came in and spoke with me for a few minutes, and then a few minutes later, they're wheeling me down the hall and get me into the surgical room, and they slide me over onto the table. And quite frankly, they must have hit me with the drugs not too long after, and before you know it, I was out. It took about 4 hours for the surgery. I did do the gastric bypass. I didn't do the sleeve. I did the bypass, mainly because I have throughout my life dealt with acid reflux, so severe that it would actually cause me to vomit. So I know when they say when you get the sleeve, it can exasperate or make worse the effects of acid reflux. So it just, for me, it made sense. Plus, you lose more weight in the long run, and you tend to keep it off better with the bypass as opposed to the sleeve. Some people will regain their weight after the sleeve, and then they'll transfer it to a bypass. So I'm like, if I'm going to get punched in the face, let's do it once. Let's get it done, over with. I wake up, and they had already wheeled me into my room. I don't know if I was in recovery. I don't really remember much. All I know is when I woke up, my throat was killing me, and it turns out that I have some sort of deal with my esophagus where it's small, and they had a hard time intubating me because of the size of my esophagus, basically, or trachea. I'm sorry, trachea, not esophagus. Yeah, so my trachea is kind of small, and man, they must have just it felt like strep throat. It was really really bad. So, anyways, the only thing that was helping was sucking on ice chips. They couldn't give me any cough drops. They wouldn't allow me to have cough drops. So they ended up giving me Chloraseptic. That's the throat spray that you spray in your mouth when you got a sore throat, and that stuff worked wonders for me. And basically, that first day, I was all on ice chips and sipping on water. The day of my surgery after I got out, but I'll be honest with you, I was so groggy and tired. I just laid there and kind of slept on and off the whole day, and then suck on some ice chips. The evening was awful. I did get up and start walking around that first day. I did a couple trips around, a couple of laps down the hall. But it wasn't a lot of walking. But I know I have to get walking to get the gas out, because they inflate your chest, or I'm sorry, your abdomen with a gas that so they can get in there and work, and you got to get rid of it. That's where a lot of the pain comes from. Now, as far as the stitches and the abdominal pain, most of that is it feels like if you've done a core workout, like you've done a lot of not pushes, but sit-ups and crunches and stuff like that. Planks, stuff that like really works your core. That's what it feels like. It doesn't feel much worse than that. It just feels like I'm sore from working out. But the gas, oh my God. The gas is brutal, and it's getting better. I opt not to take pain pills. I don't like narcotics. I just don't like them. So I've been using Tylenol, and it seems to do the trick pretty good for me, anyways. The night after my surgery, I had to stay in the hospital, and basically, it was awful. I'm not gonna lie, that was absolutely awful. The night in the surgery, basically, I'm hooked up to an IV. It's running pretty quick, so they're keeping me really hydrated. And the problem is, with all that hydration, gotta pee. At least seems like every hour and a half. So there was no sleeping that night. Every hour and a half, I was up using the restroom, and then every 2 hours, they were in taking vitals and doing other things, and yeah, so there was like no sleep. I was just dog tired. Finally, the surgeon and the nutritionist came in and talked to me, and they kind of gave me clearance to go home. Everything was looking good. They said my surgery went perfect, and that's awesome, right? So I got out of there. It was like Thursday. It was Thursday afternoon. Get home, and I'm still just dog tired because I didn't sleep the night before. And the rest of that day, I'm pretty much still on clear liquid, so just water, right? Just water and ice chips. That was it. And I went to bed kind of early because I was just wiped. Now, bed was kind of hard, especially the first day, because I'm a side sleeper. Sleep on my left, sleep on my right. I don't sleep on my back. I don't like sleeping on my back. I used to like it, but I don't anymore, since I gained all the weight. So I'm a side sleeper. Problem is when you roll over onto your side and your belly kind of rolls with you, those stitches kind of hurt. And the first night, anytime I could get it once I rolled over and I got in a position, it was okay. But if I had to roll over again, which I tend to flip-flop all night long, it hurts again. So I didn't get a very good night's sleep my first night home. I wake up the next morning, I start following the full liquid diet. So now, I wake up, and they gave me a schedule, and I'll put that up on the screen as well of the things that I was supposed to follow. So you leave with a ton of medicine. They've got nausea medicine. They've got medicine for gas. They got medicine for stool softeners. You got what else? I've got my high blood pressure medicine, my Lipitor for cholesterol. I've got blood thinners that I got to be on for a month. And then they also give you something to kind of help you keep your appetite up. The only one that I had to take that was new was the one to keep my appetite up. The other ones were kind of like as needed. Luckily, I haven't had any issues with constipation or anything like that. Everything's flowing fine through my system. So first thing, wake up, take my pills. I'm on Flintstone vitamins because I can't take the big boy vitamins right now. Apparently it's too rough on the stomach, so I got to take 2 Flintstone vitamins every day, which I hate the way those things taste. So take my medicine. Then from there, it's drink a protein drink. So I drank a full protein drink, 11 ounces, in an hour, and then get up and walk for half an hour. I'm still not quite up to half an hour yet because my knees being what they are, it's kind of hard. So I'll walk and then I'll sit and rest for a minute, and then I get up and walk some more. But I'm watching my numbers go up as I'm my speedometer on my watch. So I can kind of keep track of what's going on. So I walk, and then you hydrate for an hour. So basically, you're just sitting there sipping on water, and then I eat my first meal, which the full liquid diets is generally like they describe it as anything that stays liquid at room temperature. But so for instance, I had tomato soup, and made it with milk, and then you got to strain it to make sure that there's nothing solid gonna get into you. That was like the first thing I've had in a couple days, and it tasted really good. So that was my. No, I take that back. I'm sorry. Let me reverse that. So my first meal was a drinkable yogurt that I got, and it's 4 ounces, so it's a half cup. It's not a lot, right? And so I drink that, and then I'm supposed to go for a walk, and then hydrate, and then eat again. That was the time I had soup, and then it was hydrate or go for a walk, and then hydrate. So I'm walking 4 times for a half an hour. So I'm supposed to do 2 hours of walking every day, and then I'm supposed to do 2 protein drinks and 3 4-ounce meals of a full liquid. So it's the thing is, it's not a lot, but when my stomach is now the size of an egg, and it goes down, and I've not had any issues with eating or drinking. Well, it's all drinking, but I have not had any issues getting it down and keeping it down. But you get that gas buildup, and it just gets so painful. It was radiating to my lower back, and it was kind of excruciating. It was pretty bad. Took Tylenol, and that seemed to help with that. The gas medicine doesn't seem to do anything for me, and maybe it works better for you, but it didn't work for me. So I've just kind of moved away from that. I just take 2 Tylenol every 6 hours, and it seems to get the job done. I finished with my first full day home, and it was. Yesterday was not a pleasant day. This is my second day running the full liquid diet, and things are progressively getting better. There's less gas and bloating, but even now, I mean, if I drink, anything, it feels like I just stuffed myself for Thanksgiving. It feels so just bloated, and just it's uncomfortable is what it is. So it definitely makes you stay on track, and I can see how later on, once I move into full food, solid food, and I can eat whatever I want, it's gonna kind of keep me on track, because you can only eat so much, especially with the little pouch that I have. Kind of made a joke to my wife. She's like, was that your my stomach made a noise, and she's like, was that your stomach? I was like, yeah, but I'm not sure which one, because technically I have 2 now, right? I'm like a damn cow. I got 2 stomachs. So yeah, it was, it's just, it's different, right? I mean, it takes some adjusting, it takes some time to get used to, but overall, I'm feeling pretty good today. Kind of give you an idea of where I'm going to go from here. So I intend on, keeping you guys up to date on what I'm doing and how well I'm doing and what I'm eating and the weight loss that I'm achieving, doing this, and then the activities that I'm doing. Like, I know I can't do anything till like the beginning of June, but over the next couple weeks, I plan on purchasing an e-bike. And you might be saying, e-bike? Why don't you just get a regular bike? Because I want to go further, right? I plan on getting in my cardio, but I want to go further. I currently live about 14 miles away from my office, and if I can jump on an e-bike and use that as my transportation to and from work, especially throughout the summer and the fall, that's just gonna help, right? I'm still pedaling, whereas with a regular bike, there's no way I could ride that long. And the last thing I want to do is show up to work all, hot and sweaty and feel like I need a shower before I do what I do. So it makes sense for me. So that's kind of my reward is getting an e-bike, um, and then I also am going to be doing some weight training. I purchased oh geez, I forget what it's called. I'll put it up, a picture of it up here somewhere. But basically, it's a cable resistance system that you can use with a workbench or workbench. You can use with a weight bench, and each side will do 0 to 150 pounds depending on where you have it cranked to. So I don't really want to go to the gym. Not comfortable going to the gym anymore, so I'd rather just do it at home in my convenience of my house, and not feel like I'm kind of on display for everybody. So that's my deal, right? So spring through fall, e-bike to and from work, plus get out on the trails and just ride the bike around. It's going to be a lot of fun. Stuff I miss doing. It's I plan on taking the bike up to the my local parks, my state parks, and riding a bike or whatever, just to get some cardio and some new scenery. The weight training, I can't wait and it's probably not going to happen this year because I'd have to buy a new mower, but it's been years since I've cut my own grass because of the knee pain and that. But next year, that's high on my goal, is to be able to get out there, do my own yard work again. And it sounds like simple stuff, but I mean, if you're watching this, you're probably pretty close to the same boat I am. You may not be as much pain, and my pain mainly comes from that hockey injury. I mean, I had my ACL replaced, and now that was probably like 12, 13 years ago, and now my knees are just bone on bone. So it's arthritic and it's really bad, and that's another thing that I plan on doing hopefully in the fall, is getting a knee replacement surgery. Get this all fixed, make this a year of repair, and then come back next year and just be able to enjoy life, something I have not been able to do for years. And like I said, if you're watching this, you're probably feeling the same thing. Like, you missed out on so much stuff. I've got 2 granddaughters. I love them to death. I'd love to get out there and get active with them and enjoy them and enjoy, just my family and life. It's stuff that you kind of take for granted when you don't have the weight issues. Walking is damn near impossible, especially any distance. Then And I know I'm kind of all over the place, but when the winter comes, I'm going to get a stationary bike and I'll ride that for cardio. I don't plan on stopping. My goal is to be right around 200 pounds. That's my goal weight. And right now I've got 173 pounds to go to get there. And it's going to take some time. It's going to take some work, but I'm willing to do that work. I'm ready to do that work so I can get my life back. And I hope that I've explained this in a way where it makes sense to you, and maybe it give you kind of a lift when you're feeling down, because I know it's like it's like anything else, right? You're gonna have your doubts. You're gonna have your some inhibitive behaviors where you're just like, this is something I really want to do. do I really want to go under the knife and change my whole anatomy of my digestive system just so I can lose weight? What's wrong with me? Why can't I lose weight? Well, sometimes you need that help. And the thing is, you know, I had wanted to get bariatric years and years ago, and my insurance wouldn't cover. So I didn't do it. That's when I jumped on keto. I lost 100 pounds, but then it all came back. And the lesson I've learned is that, sometimes you just got to go for it, because the reality is the surgery, yeah, it's going to suck for a few days. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I'm not feeling 100% right now, but it's only been 3 days, right? It's only been 3 days, and I'm feeling, most of the time, unless I have some sort of gas pain, I feel fine. I feel like I could get out there and do stuff, with the exception of the stitches. But all I can say is, it's like they say, if you don't do it now, all that's going to happen is later on, when you finally realize that, man, I should have done it, you're going to have nothing but regret. Why didn't I do it then? How much of my life have I lost because of my fear of having surgery? It wasn't that bad. And if you don't have the same trachea problem I have, it's probably going to go a lot smoother for you. Or you can go with the sleeve as well. That's less invasive. It's all up to you, and it's your decision to make. And I'm hoping that maybe my story will help you along your way. And I plan on also in this channel, showing the stuff that I'm doing, right? So there'll be some bike riding videos, there'll be some gear reviews of the the bike I buy, and what I've done to upgrade the bike to make it safer for me, and everything else that's happening in life, and what I'm doing, and the things that all of a sudden I can do that I wasn't able to do before. Simple things like, for instance, if I wanted to go to a public place, and it was like, oh God, I got to park down the street and walk, I wouldn't go. That's all there is to it. I want to go. Couldn't walk. So there's going to be a lot of changes in my life, and I plan on documenting this. This is basically for me and my journey. You got your own journey that you have to take. But hopefully you get some inspiration from this, and other than that, I'll try to put out a video maybe once every couple weeks, once a week, or every couple weeks, and do the progression, because there's no sense in me doing a video every day or twice a week or something like that. Hey, look, I ate more soup, right? I mean, it's just ridiculous. So I mean, as time goes by, I mean, if things get more interesting, my life gets more interesting, then there may be more videos, but to start, this is it. And I'll give you updates, maybe once every other week, kind of give you guys a feel for where I'm at and how I'm doing. And if you're on the edge and getting ready to have your surgery, or you're scheduled for your surgery, I wish you the best of luck. Make sure you follow your surgeon's rules, right? I mean, you go on the Facebook support groups, and there's so many people who are like, I'm 3 days out of surgery and I just had like fried chicken or something. It's like, don't do that. There's a reason that we got to work back up to solid food. Don't hurt yourself. Don't be in a rush to get back on the stuff that got you into the boat that you're in. Just follow their instructions, and everything's going to be okay. But until next time, I'm Carl, and which I don't think I ever introduced myself. My name is Carl, by the way, and I'll be seeing you guys soon. Have a great day.